Hello, Kubeflow community. Today, I'm proud to announce Kubeflow 1.9, and we're gonna present the release update and feature review for Kubeflow 1.9. My name is Ricardo Martinelli, and I'm the release manager for the Kubeflow 1.9. So let's talk about Kubeflow 1.9. Here's our agenda. I'm gonna present the release team, the themes behind the 1.9 release, some highlights, distribution participation, a little bit about the components and dependency versions. We're going to get also from the working group leads their own feature details along with their tracking issues and roadmaps, and some invitation to everyone in the community to join our our good Kubeflow community. Let me introduce the nine. Like I said, I acted as the release manager for 1.9. We got Stefano as the product manager, and I'm proud to say that I have a wonderful work along with AJ, Diego, Helber, Milos, Andrew, and Julius. Uh, the key release teams we have for 1.9, we are now supporting Kubernetes 1.29, but given that there weren't any API changes beginning 127, 126, we can say that we can support 129 and having some backward compatibility from 127 to 129. We made a wonderful work with the CSF transition, making sure that we will have Qflow successfully graduated as a CNCF project. I guess this will happen too soon. And one of the things we made a lot is improvements to the security processes and documentation. We have the LLM APIs contributed by the Katib and training operator teams. We have a new component, model Registry, that's still in alpha, but you're all welcome to share any feedback about this new component because it's released as alpha just because we care about all the community updates about this new component. Also, we had Kubeflow Pipelines and Key which were separated components, and now they are merged into a single GitHub repository. Um, a little bit about the distribution participation. We had a lot of vendors working with the distribution testing. Those ones in blues not only participating into the distribution testing, but they also contribute opening issues with code and everything during the release process. Alrighty, let's talk briefly about the components and dependencies. Um, we got all of these components updated to those releases, manifest 2.9, notebooks 2.9, pipelines 2.0, Katib 0.17, training operator 1.8, KServe 0.13, and model registry, like I said, 0.1 alpha, because we care about the community feedback. So we're looking for you to help with any feedback, not only on model registry, but all of the other components. For the dependencies, like I said, we put 129 as the official release, but we tested also on 127 to 129, and everything looks good. One of the dependencies I'd like to highlight in here is the Argo 3.4 upgrade. So this was one of the biggest feedback from the pipelines community that we needed to upgrade the Argo version to 3.4 because 3.3 had a lot of security issues and it was unmaintained. So we finally got this upgraded. So working through the all of these working groups, they have their own release notes. So I appreciate if you guys follow these links. I've been gonna release not only this recording but also the slide deck. You can also follow your release notes per working group, as well as the roadmap for the future releases each working group plans to do. That being said, I'm gonna pass along to Andrew to talk about the Kubeflow ecosystem. Andrew, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone, I'm Andre. I work at Apple. Also, I'm the part of Kubeflow steering committee. So as part of Kubeflow 1.9, we did significantly improvements for the documentation. So the one thing that we've been working for a very long time to update the Kubeflow architecture diagram. So in this diagram, you can see that's how actually rich and complex Kubeflow architecture. We kind of like support all the like modern hardware for GPUs, TPUs, and CPUs, and we build on top of modern hardware, and we also like build on top of Kubernetes. So all the infrastructure pieces we're utilizing behind the scenes to make sure you can build the multi-tenant and secure platform. So you can run Kubeflow everywhere. We can run Kubernetes, whether it's third-party clouds or self-hosted clouds, or even like your local laptop. And also, like in the middle of this diagram, you can see the main Kubeflow components, such as pipelines, notebooks, central dashboard, training operator, Katib, NP operator, KServe model registry. And also, like you can see Spark operator here. We kind of like very happy to announce that part of 1.9, we finally transition Spark operator under the Kubeflow umbrella. It is not part of 1.9 release, but you can also install Spark operator as a standalone application today. And we're planning to include this in the 1.10 release, the future releases. And also on the right-hand side, you can see external add-ons that we support, like Fist, or Elara, or BentML. And at the top, you can see all these ML integrations that Kubeflow provides a way for you to run on top of Kubernetes. So all these complex tools, such as like PyTorch, TensorFlow, HighInface, Horovod, HyperOpt, all of these ML infrastructure pieces, we connect them by utilizing the Kubeflow APIs on top of the Kubernetes cluster, which gives you a simple way to actually run these tools on top of Kube and provide a easy way for data scientists to build AI applications. So if you go next, we just also want to speak about. Ricardo, can you go next? Next slide. So if we speak about it, we also try to improve the reference architecture for ML lifecycle. So in this specific diagram, you can see how like development and production phases looks like. So if you're interested to learn more about it, please feel free to check out documentation. But eventually, we really want to show you how ML engineer can build a model from the beginning of data preparation to development to training and optimization, all the way to the serving. And this diagram actually explains you how each pieces can be implemented in your end-to-end ML lifecycle. And if you go next, actually in this diagram, we also show how Kubeflow components fit in this lifecycle. So you can see for every stage of ML lifecycle, we can see we have a specific component, and which is very important. Kubeflow provides enough flexibility to you to use these components standalone or use this component inside the Kubeflow platform, which basically allows you to have some sort of flexibility, depends on your use case and how you want to like integrate these components in your infrastructure. So you can see that how literally every Kubeflow component fits in different stages to build the AI applications. If you want to learn more about it, please feel free to check out docs where we're explaining how actually you can build this ML lifecycle internally. Yeah, with this, I will pass to Ricardo to give an update for the working groups.
Thanks, Andrew. Going over the working groups, I'll invite each of the working group leads so they can share their working group feature states and what was released in this 1.9 release of Kubeflow. With that being said, I'm gonna invite the first one, who's Andrew, about the training operator updates.
So in Kubeflow 1.9, we released the training operator 1.8. So this is a very significant release for us because we introduced the fine-tuning APIs for LLMs, which significantly simplify ability to fine-tune all of your large language models from HighInface or any other registry using a simple Python API. So right now, you just need to provide some configurations to you to optimize model, and I will speak about it on the next slide. But eventually, we have an example for BERT in Tiny Llama, and we're looking forward to expand this for other examples. Like we're looking forward to show you how you can easily fine-tune all these open source models because infrastructure, we already have an infrastructure for you to allows you to do the large scale fine-tuning. Also, we have some improvements for SDK. So we continue to try to simplify how data scientists use training operator APIs. So we revamped the whole SDK. So right now you don't really need to build Docker images. You don't need to learn about Kubernetes. You don't need to understand YAMLs. You just basically have a simple Python API where you can submit your large-scale distributed training job with need a notebook. And then we continue to try to see how we can also improve the webhook validation to improve the error validation for training jobs. And I'm super excited to say that we're also working on the V2 APIs for training operators. So if you're interested, please use this PR to take a look at our Kubeflow enhancement proposal. So I'm planning to integrate training operator within Kubernetes infrastructure and the latest batch working group workloads to provide even more simple way to submit a training job on top of Kubernetes with most famous frameworks like JAX, PyTorch, or any other like frameworks you have in the industry. And if you go to the next slide, I just want to quickly speak about this fine-tuning API. So as I said, the main motivation from us was to provide this simple Python API, which data scientists can use to fine-tune their models. So the main idea is like data scientists just need to provide the model parameters, dataset parameters, trainer parameters, how many workers that they have, and what kind of accelerator they want to use, like how many GPUs they have, maybe they want to use TPUs. And then behind the scenes, we will create the PyTorch job, which basically will orchestrate the whole distributed cluster, which run the PyTorch distributed training, and also have a custom model provider and dataset provider, which actually would download model and download dataset before we actually started training. So the main idea, like these providers will download pre-trained model, or we'll do some tokenization, preparation, and we also have the custom trainer, which we built for data scientists, so they don't even need to worry about how to define the trainer loop. And they're just passing the Hugging Face trainer parameters as the input, and then we do the whole fine-tuning process behind the scenes, and data scientists just consume the results. So everything, all the infrastructure complexity is happening inside our containers, and data scientists just provide some simple input so they can quickly fine-tune models. And this is extremely powerful because if you want, like platform engineers can take this approach to build some custom model providers, custom dataset providers, if they want to have access to maybe GCS, maybe HDFS, or maybe like iceberg tables for their internal locations, and build their own providers for every step of the fine-tuning process. So if you want to learn more about it, I strongly encourage you to check the Kubeflow documentation. So we provide all the reference architecture there and explanation how this new API can be used. So if you go next to the next slide, I'm just going to quickly speak about Katib. So in Katib, in Kubeflow 1.9, we released the Katib 0.17, where we introduced the official support for ARM64 for release images. Also, we enhance framework support. We're supporting TensorFlow 2.16 and PyTorch 2.2. Also, we, similar to training operator, continually improve the Python SDK experience for data scientists. So right now, they don't even need to build any Docker images to submit the tuning job. And we also support some other parameters they can specify there in this Python SDK. And we continue to try to improve the security and bug fixes for some of the Katib control plane components. So with this, I will pass it to Ricardo to speak about the next topic.
Thank you, Andrew. The next working group who's going to talk about the features is the Kubeflow Pipelines team.
Hello, my name is Chen Xiang. I'm the pipeline working group lead from Google. In the Kubeflow 1.9 release, we've made a couple of key updates to Kubeflow pipeline. First, we have the KIP Tecton and KIP Argo consolidation finish. The codebase for the two backend engines now live in the same KIP GitHub repository. This is a major milestone that simplifies the orchestration engine management and the code sharing. Secondly, the KIP V2 architecture, which is the platform agnostic architecture, continues to demonstrate its extensibility and flexibility in supporting multiple backend engines. Thirdly, the community has accomplished a critical dependency update. We updated the Argo workflow from version 3.3 to version 3.4. This brings us important security and vulnerability fixes, and also unblocks us on feature parity development. Last but not the least, KIP-Kubernetes SDK has been updated to version 1.2. The community has made great progress in catching up on Kubernetes-specific features with KIP V1 and beyond. So above are the major highlights from Kubeflow pipeline in this release. Thanks to all the community members who contributed to this release. Thank you.
Thank you. The next topic will be the Kubeflow Notebooks.
These are the updates from the Kubeflow Notebooks working group and core components. First, there are significant updates to all the example notebook images, including version upgrades to PyTorch 2.3.0 and TensorFlow 2.15.1. The working group addressed several bugs in the notebook's controller, in the UI, and in the persistent volume claim viewer. A particular highlight is the Notebooks v2 project. This is in active development for the next generation of notebooks, with contribution from various companies. We invite you to check out for more information at the working group and at the Kubeflow community meetings.
Thank you very much. Next topic will be the KServe team, who's going to talk about the new features in the 0.13 of the KServe release.
Hello everyone, my name is Gaurish Prabhu. I'm from the KServe team and I'm very excited to announce our 0.13 release, which is marking a significant leap forward in the model serving space and helping to meet the demands of the generative AI inferencing. With this release, I want to highlight mainly 3 features we got in. The first one being the enhanced Hugging Face runtime support. Now you can run Hugging Face model out of the box in KServe. KServe can now automatically infer a task from its model architecture and select the optimized serving runtime for it. Currently, we support sequence classification, token classification, fill mask, and text classification, text generation, and text-to-text generation. If you want a much more detailed view on how this particular serving runtime works, you can check out this particular diagram of ours. Other than that, if you want to check out an example of how to run this particular serving runtime, you can click here for the example. Next, I want to talk about the second important release feature, which is the VLLM support for enhanced transformer model serving. With this support, we got VLLM as a backend to automap VLLMs for its supported task and streamlining the deployment process for it and optimizing the performance. So we have 2 backends now. One is VLLM and the Hugging Face backend. The default option always comes to VLLM and if you don't need VLLM, you can stick the backend to Hugging Face. If you for checking out more details on how this works, you can check out this particular example of ours. Third main release coming in is the OpenAI schema integration. So we support 2 OpenAI endpoints called chat completions and completions. These endpoints are very useful for generative transformer models, which take in messages and return generative message output. So the chat completions endpoint is designed for easily handling multi-turn conversations while still being useful for single-turn conversations. The completions endpoint is much more freeform, which takes single prompt as its input to generate this model output. And currently, OpenAI has tagged this completions endpoint as legacy. If you want more details of this, you can check out the OpenAI reference for these endpoints. So with these 3 highlights, I want to say that in our release, we try to foster a standardized approach to transformer model serving, ensuring compatibility with the broader spectrum of models and tools, and try to make our platform more versatile. These endpoints, which I just mentioned, the OpenAI endpoints, can now be used through the OpenAI client libraries or any other third-party tools, which can be LangChain or Llama Index as well. And in the future, we plan to provide extensions for these tasks and also support more task-specific endpoints. So with these 3 highlights, I want to conclude my presentation and very excited to announce the 0.13 KServe release. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now it's the Model Registry who's gonna talk about the features in the alpha version of Model Registry.
On behalf of the Model Registry Working Group, we are very happy to be part of Kubeflow 1.9 with the first alpha release of Model Registry. Model Registry is a capability that allows you to catalog, track, and index your machine learning models, their versions and artifacts in a central place. This is a community-driven feature. It was introduced based on community and user feedback survey from the community. There will be links to that in the blog post. In this first alpha release, we are introducing a REST API and a Python SDK that allows you to track your model artifacts, for as well as some integration with other Kubeflow components and add-ons, such as KServe for deploying inference services. In the attached blog post, there will be links that you can explore and delve into for more information. I would like to highlight a few of them. One, for instance, is the link to the Model Registry tutorial on the Kubeflow website, specifically the Getting Started. There will be steps that you can follow along with your Kubeflow installation in order to try out Model Registry. Then there is as well a link to a demo video. So if you wanted to see more information about Model Registry and this first alpha release, then you can see the demo video here. And finally, we are a working group in Kubeflow. So I invite you to check out our working group bi-weekly meeting. So you can find the links to that in the kubeflow.org community. And for instance, at the time of the recording, we are going to have one of those bi-weekly meetings later this evening. And finally, as well, on our repository, you can get involved there by logging your request or just checking out what we are busy working on. Thank you for this highlight, and I will pass it over to the next working group.
Thank you. Next one, I'm gonna call the manifest working group. That's now called the platform working group. So he's gonna talk about the updates in the manifest, the platform components, and the security stuff. Julius, the stage is yours.
Yeah, hello. My name is Julius van Gohut. And since I'm lead of manifest and security, also Kubeflow platform, I first want to talk about the manifest changes. Yeah, first of all, we are proud to announce Kubernetes 1.27 to 1.29 support, which means that administrators can run it on supported, secure, and up-to-date Kubernetes clusters. We didn't test 1.30, but it should work as well. Then there is customized 5.2.1 and newer support with way less warnings. So platform engineers have a modern and supported installation toolchain. They don't need to downgrade their toolchain anymore for Kubeflow, for example, downgrade customize versions. Also, the documentation has been significantly improved. It now contains guidelines for upgrading and extending the Kubeflow platform, especially for large clusters or administrators of large clusters. And it enables new users to locally install Kubeflow on their laptops in just a few minutes. This is quite important for academic use, for example. Next slide, please. Now, Kubeflow platform. For data scientists and machine learning engineers, we updated many third-party components from the larger machine learning ecosystem. Not just BandML, but also Selden as KServe alternative, and Ray, which is used by many large companies to train their large language models. And then for platform engineers, we updated all common components. This means that we support the latest Kubernetes versions and upstream security patches. For example, we went from Istio 1.17 to 1.22 in 5 upgrade steps, and are in general closely tracking the upstream releases of DEX, Cert Manager, and Knative. These many upgrades were only feasible because we invested heavily in our testing infrastructure. So we are now mostly relying on automatic tests instead of manual testing. Now, next slide, please. Yeah, the security topic. The first big change is that OAuth2 proxy replaces ORDC auth service. This adds improved token-based authentication. We had something before, but now we're using the industry standard OAuth2 proxy, which means that machine learning engineers can now use tokens instead of insecure passwords for CI/CD automation of KFP, Central Dashboard, and other components from GitHub Actions, for example. And finally, Network policies have been enabled for the Kubeflow core services, not yet the user namespaces, but the Kubeflow core services, most of the stuff that lives in the namespace Kubeflow. They act as a second layer of defense before issue authorization policies, and they provide administrators and platform engineers a better network overview and segmentation, while also enforcing just common enterprise security guidelines. Then last but not least, we are introducing automatic CVE scanning with Trivy on the master branch. So we run Trivy on every commit to the master branch, and you can see the results just on the GitHub Actions tab. Here are some recent numbers. I think they're quite average, and many of the CVEs come from Kubeflow Pipelines, which uses an updated Python version. There are already PRs on track to fix that. And of course, we appreciate contributions to reduce the number of CVEs in all working groups. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julius. There's also some good updates on the documentation for Kubeflow, so I'll pass along to Halbert to discuss about these topics. Halbert, it's you.
Thank you, Ricardo. My name is Halbert Belmiro. I work for Red Hat, and my contributions have been mostly to pipelines and documentation. And for documentation, we did a lot of improvements. I'd like to highlight for model registry, we added documentation and examples. For training operator, we added fine-tune API documentation and other general improvements. For Katib, we reorganized the documentation and fixed the getting started example. For pipelines, we did a big refactor in the documentation. We used to have two sections, one for V1 and one for V2. Now we have one specific section for V2 and one specific section for V1, and the V2 pages are in the root of the documentation. We also removed obsolete warnings. We added warning about V1 being obsolete. We also added updated installation for V2. We also added documentation about uploading compressed files as a pipeline. We updated the getting started page with links and other basic guides. We added information about both Argon and Tecton backends. And we did work about, on fixing, updating links. We still have some broken links, and now we added a new tool to check for broken links during the CI. So that will allow us to eliminate all the broken links that we still have in the documentation. That's pretty much it for documentation. Back to you, Ricardo.
Thank you, Halbert. At last but not at least, I'm gonna invite the product manager for the 1.9 release to invite all the community to join the Kubeflow community. So Stefano, the show is yours.
Thank you, Ricardo. Well, I just want to thank you, everybody. Ricardo, first of all, but every working group lead and every person who contributed to this release, which is one of a kind. Awesome work all around, every component, documentation. It's been great working with you all. The community is expanding. We're introducing very exciting and big features, and there's a lot of work ahead of us. So if you want to join the community, there's lots of ways you can contribute. You can start by attending our community meeting, which is held weekly. You can join our Slack channel. If you don't know where to start, you can hit us. You can message either of us directly, and we'll help you get onboarded. There's a Google group with a mailing list called Kubeflow Discuss, and you'll find all these links here or in the Kubeflow website. So again, thanks for watching, and Ricardo, back to you for closing.
Thanks, Stefano. I really want to thank you, everyone who was involved in the 1.9 release. Much appreciated all the hard work we had so far. We made it, and let's just celebrate. Although I don't have anything alcoholic to celebrate, it's just water, but let's just pretend that this is, something that's good to celebrate. So cheers to everyone for the 1.9 release, and stay tuned for the next releases and for any updates in the documentation or the Kubeflow community. Thank you all.
Cheers.